thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Wednesday, July 24th, and today is National Lemon Day.
It's Tuesday, July 23rd.
Oh, shit. It's... Fuck. Sorry.
It's
Tuesday.
It's
Tuesday.
Kamala Harris got her shook.
It's Tuesday, July 23rd, and today is National Lemon Day. It's also Gorgeous Grandma Day. Shout out to all the gorgeous grandmas out there.
A little hot granny.
And Rico, are you ready for this? You're going to love this. It's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day.
Breyers has the best one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you all.
We're going to say National Vanilla Ice Day.
Yeah.
Whoa. I'm good with all that.
No, he's under Gorgeous Grandma.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank you to everyone all tuning in. You guys got this shit going all fucking crazy today, and my fucking thing isn't working right. Son of a bitch.
Well, yesterday was my day, today's yours. It's
but
okay.
nonetheless, it's okay. It's
Tag
all right.
teaming.
Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday. You can and high noon on the East Coast. You can find us on. We're streaming live every Monday through Friday at YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. And thank you to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. But kicking it off today, that's right, we have the dope dad himself, who hopefully doesn't make as much of a mess as I did tripping up this morning. But nonetheless, it is the dope dad himself. Hopefully he doesn't trip over his hair, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Man, Kamala Harris is getting in y'all's heads, man. Y'all don't know what to do.
Not even close, bro. You guys are so silly.
Me a lot of things. Trying to give me a camel toe is crazy.
You guys are crazy.
Dig it. So, it is looking like, we have some good news coming out of Thailand. It's looking like they will once again be open for cannabis business, as its once hardline prohibitionist government has taken a full 3 months to, as Jason Beck would say, evolve on that whole recriminalization issue that they ran their whole campaign on. So back in 2022, Thailand became one of the first countries in Asia to decriminalize marijuana. Because of the country's reputation as a Western-friendly business and tourist destination, many believe that it would soon become the marijuana mecca of the East. The country immediately saw an explosion of recreational use and the launch of tens of thousands of cannabis cafes and retailers enabling it, prompting public concern about its abuse. You see, much like many of the nascent markets operating in the West, legalizing without the proper laws in place to govern or clear regulations in place to prevent abuse meant Thailand's plans of becoming an Asian cannabis wonderland were soon to be canceled thanks to a high-profile election bringing in a new conservative prohibitionist government looking to fully swing the pendulum in the opposite direction. For a few months there, it seemed that all hope was lost for adult use in Thailand, But in a stunning reversal in policy news, Reuters' Shayut Sedbusarang and Panarat Thepgumhanat. Sorry,
Interesting.
Totally butchered those names.
Easy for you to say.
Reported that Deputy Premier Anutin Sharn Virikul, whose party was instrumental in pushing for marijuana liberalization, said Thailand's new Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin had now agreed that legislation was the appropriate step to take. Can we get a round of applause for the evolution of Thailand? They evolve so much quicker than we do here in the West. I'm sure money has nothing to do with it. The government has maintained recreational use of cannabis was not allowed, and Sretha, who belongs to a different party, had said that he would recriminalize it due to concerns over abuse, with an exception for medical use and research. Newton's Boom Jai Thai party, the second biggest in the ruling coalition, has advocated for marijuana for health and economic purposes, but officially not for recreational use, and has argued against recriminalizing it. Nataborn Buamahuaku? These names, man. All right. A managing partner at government affairs consultancy Vero Advocacy said that the latest development indicated that there is now better coordination between parties and government on the complex cannabis issue. The policy reversal reflects greater alignment between coalition parties when compared to last year when the government was formed, Nataborn said. It will be a matter of law and debated in Parliament where there is already a draft law. Secretary General to the Prime Minister, Pramin Lerstridge, told Reuters, whether it's a narcotic or not is up to Parliament, end quote. A draft law on marijuana was submitted to the legislature under previous administration, but Parliament was dissolved ahead of the election year without a vote taken. It was not immediately clear whether steps would be taken to crack down on recreational cannabis use, as Sretha advocated and ran his campaign on. But as I always say, follow the money. Eagle-eyed spectators could have predicted this about-face coming from a mile away, per the article. Since the initial 2022 movement, Thailand has seen rapid growth of a domestic retail sector for marijuana and now has an industry projected to be worth up to $1.2 billion by next year. Not far out in the future. There's just next year. So there's no way that this new administration would resist that kind of cash flow and the influence that would come along with it. So an economic boon, all but guaranteed by revisiting legalization with a more measured approach. Sure. Of course, once again, the prospect of massive amounts of money trumps even the most staunch of quote-unquote morals by these Save the Children bureaucrats. So big ups to Thailand. It looks like they're open for business again. And
I'm confused. I'm confused.
Hooray capitalism. Nothing's corrupt about this at all. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for I9 News.
I'm so confused.
Thailand,
I'm so confused by this story.
Here we go.
So can
How long is it going to last this time?
Can you read it again, Rico?
Yeah, can you just give me like the synopsis on this? Just
until the checks stop coming in. So the synopsis is they legalized last year. New government came in.
Yep.
And said like, no, we ain't having this shit.
Right.
It's against the children aren't safe, and all these thugs are everywhere.
Yep.
And they said we're not gonna have it. So a couple months later, what happens? They just open it back up.
all right. So what you're telling me is that they have reversed course on their medical only stance and are allowing for adult use sales.
Everything going forward. Yeah, they're saying that they're going to regulate it, and everything's going forward as it was before. They just said they're going to have more regulation in place.
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet that one of these guys from their government took a trip out to New York.
Yeah.
And just basically saw the shit show and said, hey, it looks just like at home to us, except without all the scooters.
I'm willing to bet that one of these guys from their government got a visit from a guy who probably had a lot of money tied up in recreational cannabis in Thailand, and they, had a gentlemanly discussion, maybe at a country club or over some scotch, and
maybe they had an elephant ride.
Or a deposit.
I'm going to bet the opposite.
Is that a metaphor, Jason?
No. Just, you know what I mean?
God.
They just had a
Really?
conversation. They're out just, you know what I'm saying, riding the elephants. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
I'm going to bet the opposite. I don't think it had to do with any country clubs or scotch or anything. I think it had to do with the fact that somebody in public policy realized the genie was already out of the bottle. They couldn't put it back in, and the cost of trying to regress was going to be worse than trying to figure it out.
See?
That's possible.
I don't know. Governments seem to waste money all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody got paid, man.
I think somebody got paid off. I mean, somebody got paid off. Right?
Yeah.
Because like,
Someone got paid for
we're
sure.
looking at a government that was taking businesses from people like just, you know, hey, fuck it, you're doing well, this is ours now. We're looking at a terrific amount of corruption. So I don't think that this was just like, hey, you know what, I woke up this morning, I'm going to be fucking reasonable, because that's too much like right for any government entity. Nobody's going to be like, well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sorry, Yarrow.
Exactly. Yeah.
They are a very accommodating culture over there. You know, I've been to Thailand, and I do think that there is a benevolent world in which they went, wait, this is already a fait accompli. This is done. What are we doing? Why are we beating our head against the wall? The tourists love it. People are making money. Carry on.
About the kids.
I agree with what Emmett Otter says in the chat. He says they just said Phuket.
I mean, I think that me and Yar are going to have to agree to be same, but different.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so transparency.org ranks all of the countries, all of the global countries on corruption, this corruption index, and out of a score of 100.
Where's Ukraine at on that?
Countries ranked here, Thailand is 108th. So
and how does Donald score?
He's not a country. He's number 180. He is a country in himself.
Oh God.
Chuck Norris. Never mind.
Yeah, Trump has replaced Chuck Norris for all the memes purposes or whatnot, just in case anyone didn't get that update.
Sure, man. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What y'all gonna do about Kamala, though? You know?
We don't need to do anything about Kamala. She's gonna fizzle out herself.
We'll call Montel Jordan to come talk to him.
Yeah.
Y'all scared?
Hey, no one's scared.
I don't think anybody's scared of her.
No.
I don't think anybody's scared of her. I think the frothy exuberance that it's going to leave real quickly. I think the Democrats just handed the Republicans a win. And I think the fact that they, in this historic about face 3 weeks after quit, the fact that they didn't revert it back to a primary style where they could pick the person who had the greatest validated support from the populist base of that party is a bastardization of what these parties profess to do in order to put their best candidate forward. I don't think there is a world in which November 3rd, Democrats are going to feel happy about this choice.
No, I agree. And I love to see women and minorities win, but I hate to see a diversity hire, and that's unfortunate here. Like, that's just, I don't think that she's qualified. I don't think
you don't think that what?
She would, huh?
Well, no. How is she not qualified, please?
Oh, really?
How
is she qualified in the first place?
Rico, do you think that she's strong enough to go into meetings with people like the leaders of China and things like that and strongly represent the United States
How is Donald Trump ever qualified?
Donald Trump's 100% qualified.
Than Donald Trump.
Not even close.
No.
You're living in a fantasy world right now.
She's a DE. No, anybody black or a woman in any position is automatically now a quote unquote DEI hire.
No, you need to and absolutely you're not going to put me into that corner, Rico, because I am a black woman. So don't try to let's not race bait. And that's the problem with this, and that's probably why she was put up, because if you don't vote for her, you're now racist.
And I identify as a black woman,
but that's not what we're talking about this morning, is it?
DEI hire, okay. Donald Trump is a DEI hire. He's a reverse DEI hire because he represents the old crusty white men that we need to get out of the country, right? So got to keep them in place.
You're so over the top today. Did someone not give you your medicine?
I don't think she's a DEI hire, but I think that the equivalencies between her and Sarah Palin are very painful.
Why do you think she got that position in the first place as vice president? It was DEI.
And
they needed to put a woman of color on the ticket with an old white man.
Up.
Yep.
But they messed up because the woman of color who should be the presidential candidate from the Democratic Party is Stacey Abrams,
You're right.
who has
I'll agree with
substantial
that,
backbone
100%.
and who has shown herself to be loyal to the party,
And she would have helped
loyal
them
to
more
the
with
voters,
Georgia.
and loyal to
100%.
access for all people to be able to participate in the democratic process. And so if
Yarrow,
you are a
Yarrow.
Democrat, you should be upset about this.
Hey, Yarrow, a counterpoint there is Joe Biden has been half dead for the last 2+ years. Would you not argue that Kamala Harris is the most loyal of all time, where she would not say a bad thing about this dude?
I would argue that loyalty.
I mean,
is
hold
not
on a
the
second,
most
bro. You know
important trait.
Kamala. Hold on a second, Rico. You know Kamala is known for having things in her mouth that forbid her from talking.
Come on, no.
Jesus Christ.
Nah,
this is a morning
let's not take it
show.
there.
I'm just saying.
This
That's
is
just
a morning
reality.
show.
Just reality.
That's not good. That's not cool.
Your boy
That's
fucked a
not cool,
porn
man.
star.
Just
Let's
saying.
not take it there. Yeah, and Donald
That's
Trump
true.
raped.
Suddenly there's morals involved.
Who got? Yeah.
According to Stormy Daniels, he
That was a little
barely
far
fucked a
even for
porn
me.
star.
Yeah, come on, man. E. Jean Carroll, like that dude was found
His
liable for
wife
rape.
was
That wasn't real.
nursing the newborn.
Look at her.
The dude was found liable for rape. Come on, man.
In a court that was a kangaroo court.
Oh,
It was not.
why?
a
Because he
kangaroo
was found guilty.
This is
Yeah,
total.
he
was in it?
Yeah, total
Right.
sham job.
And
Total sham job.
Any
He's been a
verdict
crook
that
his
doesn't
whole
align
life.
with
He's been
Yeah.
a con man his whole fucking life. Now there's a fucking camera on him everywhere, so he can't get away.
He's had a
let's-
camera on him his
how about we-
entire
how about we-
life. What are you talking about?
Hey, my only request is we stick to the issues when we're talking. We're going to
Fair
criticize
enough.
these people. Like, let's not take those personal attacks. We're like, yo, like
That wasn't personal
all the
attack. That's just
sexual shit and
factual
everything
information.
Like that, man, that just makes
Well,
the
I mean,
conversation
but
evolve.
Rico,
Alternative
I mean,
facts.
even
It's
if we try
factual
to take the
information.
high road, I think we need to be equal and have parity across both parties. If we're going to talk
talk.
about Donald
We'll talk.
Trump and his grab him by the pussy and the convicted rapist and the Jean Carroll thing and the Stormy
talk.
Daniels thing, then the way in which Kamala rose through the ranks and got some of her plum appointments is an equal target, right? We need to be equal in the way now. And if I don't think
Fair
she's
and
a
balanced,
diversity
Rico.
hire,
Fair and balanced.
but I certainly think that if people are going to say she's a diversity hire, we could say Trump is a silver spoon hire too, right? So I think that the key here is to make sure that we are insulting
But
everybody
Trump was never
equally
hired
on this show.
Trump was never hired. That's the big difference. Trump was never appointed. Trump ran and won. So he was never he wasn't he wasn't hired or appointed by someone in that sense.
No, but I think I think there's an argument to be said that his success is directly proportional to the money his father gave him.
Let's bring it back to cannabis because we can debate this the whole.
All right, fair
show.
enough. We're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
All right, fair enough.
Well, no, I'm not sure how I feel about it quite yet, because who else is there? Right.
So he is known for smoking the best weed in the world. He's the highest Republican that walks into every single room and is the cannabis industry's longest continuously operating diversity hire. Coming to the stage, Jason Beck.
A white straight guy in West Hollywood.
I never knew that. I never knew that.
He was a diversity hire for West Hollywood.
I never knew that. I never knew that being disabled was part of a diversity hire. I didn't know that disability qualified in the DEI. But man, I'm gonna have to go and check and see if I can, just qualify. Apparently,
my goodness, Jason.
But nonetheless, let me tell you something. You know what, Rico? You know what True Leave and cookies have in common?
What's that?
They are both getting fined $350,000 because Cookies is to pay the state $350K for violations on an opening day celebration, Rico. That's right. The cannabis lifestyle brand with a popular dispensary in Albuquerque, New Mexico, will pay $350,000 for violations of state regulations during its ruckus opening day celebration last November.
Shit, that's Vitaly's store.
Yep, that's right. The dispensary Cookies was charged with 5 violations by the state's Cannabis Control Division, including one that alleged a minor without a valid medical card was consuming cannabis on the property in photos shot by an Albuquerque Journal photographer.
That's a big one.
A spokesperson from the New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department, which oversees the CCD, wrote in an email that the division takes underage and on-site consumption very seriously and has levied penalties that are commensurate with the nature of the violations, you guys. Well, good thing they didn't have anyone die in the parking lot, because I'd hate to see what their fine was then. But nonetheless, in light of the particular facts and circumstances of this individual case, the licensee's level of cooperation with the division in investigating these violations and the licensee's willingness to accept responsibility for what occurred and address and remediate the violations, this settlement agreement enforces the Cannabis Regulation Act and ensures the protection of the public, Andrea Brown, the spokeswoman, continued. The charges and eventual settlement agreement came as the dispensary located in Maritztown had grown a cult following in the cannabis community in Albuquerque and across the state. It has been, in the months since opening, one of the top performing by sales, according to state data. Last month, pulling in a combined $812,512 in medical and adult use sales. Cookies was founded by the rapper Burner, whose real name is Gilbert Malam, and Bay Area grower Jai Chang as a lifestyle brand back in 2010. By 2018, though the company opened its first dispensary in Los Angeles before opening dozens more in the following years, including in Albuquerque back in November of 2023. But the company typically seeks out local operators to do business with, in effect putting the business under local ownership and in return giving these operators access to Cookies branding and its in-house genetics. The owner or registered agent of Cookies, according to CCD documents, is Byron Butcher, the operator of High Extracts, which produces the popular extracts brand Bloom in New Mexico. An email seeking comment from Butcher was not answered late Friday, but the violation cited in April also accused Cookies of promoting overconsumption of cannabis at the dispensary's grand opening last year on its social media channels, allowing for the consumption of cannabis on its property without the proper licensure, and allowing for alcohol consumption without the proper licensure, and displaying cannabis outside of the retail area and in the parking lot. Brown said Cookies owes $10,000 for each violation, a total of $50,000, and it also owes an additional $300,000, which is the approximate amount of revenue the business would have generated in a 2-week time period, she said, adding that the second portion of the fine will be paid in lieu of a suspension of licensure, which would have resulted in lost wages for the business employees, she said. She said the fines collected will be paid into the state's current school fund, and an additional quote, all violations are reviewed based on the particular facts and circumstances of the individual case. However, the CCD continues to work with all licensees who show willingness and good faith efforts to correct violations and abide by the Cannabis Regulation Act and division rules, she added. In an additional quote, she says, "We are hopeful that this licensee recognizes the gravity of the violations and will prevent this type of non-compliant activity from occurring ever again." Well, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I got some thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they had that damn leaf blower out there.
That's what I was imagining, too.
I bet they had that damn leaf blower. Mm-hmm. I mean, because putting it on their social media channels, that sounds like, shout out to the homie because you love that leaf blower. But
they do love that thing.
God, this is just, if there was in fact a minor there, that's such an easy to prevent situation. Like just by doing the basic checks that you agree when you sign your license to do for anybody who's coming on property, coming to an event, things like that. Like, I think responsible ownership is important, and I wasn't there, so I guess the state will take that up with them. But, you know, I just be better, guys. Like, I think when you're such a successful brand and such a high-profile brand, people are going to look at you. And I saw Vitaly was actually on his Instagram talking about there are 7 dispensaries within a 400-foot radius. Those other 6 are probably not cookies, you guys.
No, they're
so
not.
they're probably going to be looking at cookies, and anything they can say, hey, fuck you guys, they're going to do that. So, like, you're under a microscope even more because of your success historically, because of how big the brand has grown. So any fuck up is so much worse.
Or maybe they wanted the press. Oh, they made over $300,000 in the grand opening, and they wanted the press of being the cool guys on the block.
No, they got dinged because a minor consumed cannabis.
Well, there was photos of a minor consuming cannabis. They had
in the news.
They had alcohol consumption. Okay.
Yeah, they were wilding.
Yeah, they were having a party. They were turning up. They were like, who cares? Who cares about any of this?
That's what happened.
No, I think they care. I think they care very much.
You think they care?
I think.
I
do.
think the only person that cares is the licensee. I don't think Cookies gives a shit.
I will say
I think Cookies gives a shit about underage consumption of cannabis, and I don't think that that's what they were trying to
Is that why they sell their clothes on Zoomies?
A little out of hand.
Is that why they sell their clothes on Zoomies?
It was overattended relative to the staffing they had, and something went awry.
I mean, there are kids in high schools every day wearing cookie stuff because they can buy it on Zoomies. It is pushed to children, and I will actually agree to that point. And now I understand why Burner's Instagram or X account had that post the other day talking about, I don't care, hate on me, blah, 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 I'm still winning, pictures of him on a yacht. So, you know, okay, cool. Then go pull some money out of that bank account that you gassed the yacht up with, and please give it to this operator who is not Burner. And pay the fine for him.
I agree with Yarrow on this one. I think things just got out of hand.
If you think things just got out of hand, like all of a sudden it was like an Oakland sideshow, all of a sudden, is that what you're telling me?
That's possible.
I mean, this is a different case than them having the weed blower out there. They got a minor out there consuming, and they got alcohol there. It sounds like it was overattended, and they just didn't account.
What does alcohol and overattendance have anything to do with that?
I find it very hard to believe that Cookies Corporate would not want, would want something like this to happen,
they allowed it to happen. They allowed it to happen.
Corporate should probably be more involved with what's actually happening at these launch parties.
I find it hard to believe that their corporate wing would not care.
Not everything that happens on somebody's watch is their responsibility. Otherwise, General Michael Flynn would be the reason why Trump wouldn't get reelected.
This is giving me a director Cheeto vibe right now.
You guys are crazy. You guys are tripping right now.
Christopher Brady says they're trying to strike a chord, and it's probably a minor.
Hey.
Shout out Chris Brady.
But he's not a rapper. But he is not a rapper.
Rico did not like.
Yes, exactly. I mean, hey, they're out there smoking with minors, blowing smoke in minors' faces.
Listen, I will speak to, like, Stingy's the one who always has the weed blower, and he is a friend of mine, and he is a very good person. Like, he has this really cool social media presence, but he's just like a really soft-spoken, just sweet, good person. So I will speak to the moral character of them as people. I don't think that any of them as parents, as people, would want to have a minor consuming. I think this is a testament to you have to be careful. You have to be more vigilant and pay more attention to, while you're creating this big circus of ruckus to welcome in your new store, you have to be be You just need to be more vigilant. So I don't think that it was malicious, but I will say that, you know, you guys be a little more careful.
I mean, I just feel like they thought they were recreating a Breaking Bad episode, but with weed.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's New Mexico.
I don't see the connection.
It's New Mexico. It's New Mexico.
Now I see.
It's New Mexico.
Yeah, I know it's New Mexico, but the Breaking Bad, like, I mean, is meth in an RV. Like, I don't see the connection with this story, though.
So you're saying that they don't sell Blue Dream?
I don't like parallels between weed and actual drugs.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know.
Whatever.
Sorry.
We're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to roll right into the voice himself, Mr. Todd Denkin. He is the founder of DigiPath Labs out there in the great state of Nevada, as well as the founder of the Smuggleverse, where you can buy all of your digital dank. Coming up next, it is none other than Mr. Todd Denkin.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. my friend. I have a political story. The guy I interviewed several years ago, GOP Congressman Andy Harris, says, I don't care if rolling back marijuana rescheduling would hurt the Republican Party. Here's an article by Kyle Yeager over at the Marijuana Movement. GOP congressman says, I don't care whether rolling back the Biden administration's marijuana rescheduling move under a potential Trump presidency would hurt the Republican Party because he feels more strongly that the modest reform would endanger public health. At the Republican National Committee conference last week, longtime prohibitionist Representative Andy Harris, a guy from Maryland, was asked about the potential political ramifications of rescheduling reversal under the second Trump administration and GOP-controlled Congress. He put it bluntly, I don't care, he said, whether it's good for the party or not. I just don't care. It's not good for your health. My opinion is always the same. It's not healthy for you. It's bad. I think it's bad policy, Harris told Marijuana Moment. Congressman is well known for his opposition to cannabis reform. In addition to championing a long-standing appropriations rider that blocked Washington, D.C. from legalizing marijuana sales for a decade, he's also pushed the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration to reject the Justice Department proposal to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substance Act, for example. While Harris suggested that rescheduling move would increase access to a substance he views as dangerous, a Schedule 3 reclassification would not federally legalize marijuana. The main effects of the policy change would be removing it, the research barriers linked to Schedule 1 drugs, and allowing state-licensed cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions available to other industry. The congressman said in a news interview with Marijuana Moment that he has, quote, no idea, unquote, how former President Donald Trump, who was officially named the party's presidential nominee for the third time at the GOP convention, will approach marijuana policy issues. He said, you've got to ask Mr. Trump. Just on the fact that red and blue states alike have increasingly moved to enact legalization, Harris claimed that he's in the company of experts, as National Institute on Drug Abuse Director Nora Volkow is opposing the policy. Harris said, quote, if we're outliers, well, you know, sometimes outliers are right. Harris has previously suggested that the NIDA director adamantly opposed the rescheduling proposal, despite the fact that her agency officially concurred with the recommended policy change, as well as Volkow's repeated public comments criticizing research barriers imposed by cannabis's current Schedule 1 status. In the new interview, the congressman also seemed to misstate the Biden administration has come down to controversial spending rider blocking D.C. marijuana sales, suggesting at one point that the president's latest budget omitted that language when, in fact, it maintained it. It was, however, removed from the base bill of the latest House version of the legislation in GOP committee, but the rider was re-added via amendment later in the legislative process. House Rules Committee will be taking up a proposed amendment to the bill next week that would eliminate the provision. That panel has blocked numerous cannabis reform proposals over the past session and is not expected to clear it for floor consideration. Multiple GOP lawmakers spoke to Marijuana Moment last week about how they feel about marijuana policy and how it will be addressed under another Trump administration if the former president is reelected. Most deferred to Trump, though they offered competing visions of what they thought would happen. At the convention, the former president also formally announced his vice presidential running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, a Republican from Ohio, whose record on marijuana policy includes opposition to bipartisan cannabis banking reform legislation and adult use legislation, but support of states' rights to enact their own marijuana laws. The Democratic National Committee, meanwhile, is touting Biden's marijuana pardons and rescheduling moves, calling for broader reform to expunge prior records. However, unlike in 2020, the party's latest draft platform that was approved by a party committee on Tuesday doesn't promote broader cannabis decriminalization. The Biden campaign was also stepping up its push to draw a contrast between the president's marijuana policies and those of the former President Trump. Vice President Kamala Harris, who is now the Democratic nominee for president, has matured with her view on cannabis over the years. While she opposed a 2010 California ballot initiative to legalize marijuana, in 2015, she called for an end to the federal ban on medical marijuana during the Democratic State Convention. However, when Californians voted to legalize recreational marijuana in 2016, then Attorney General Harris did not take a stance. During her tenure as a district attorney in San Francisco, over 1,900 individuals were convicted for cannabis offenses. Nevertheless, some reports indicate that the majority of those apprehended for minor possession not face incarceration. Only a few individuals were in prison for cannabis-related crimes under Harris's administration. Harris has recently changed her stance, actively supporting legalization and co-sponsoring several proposed reforms in the last few years, such as the Safe Banking Act, Marijuana Justice Act, and the MORE Act. In a 2019 interview with The Breakfast Club, Harris expressed her support for cannabis legalization and mentioned she smoked pot in college. In March, Kamala Harris stated nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed. During a discussion with rapper Fat Joe and others who have been pardoned for marijuana convictions, emphasized that far too many people have been jailed for simple marijuana possession. Although Harris initially lacked a strong pro-reform stance on cannabis, she has since shifted her position, publicly supporting legalization, sharing her own cannabis experiences, co-sponsoring bills to aid the cannabis industry and address the war on drugs. Enough about Kamala. What do you guys think about Andy Harris's, opposition to cannabis? And, if you don't mind, Jason, if you can play that clip where I interviewed Andy Harris several years ago, you can tell that hasn't changed his stance one bit. So at least you got to give him that.
Mm-hmm. You got the clip ready, Adam?
I simply asked him what his thoughts were on medical marijuana.
Okay.
Marijuana is confusing to me because I'm an anesthesiologist. I write prescriptions. I prescribe drugs against pain, other anesthetics all day. And when I do it, I prescribe a pure substance at a specific dose, specific time intervals, controlled. The drug has been FDA approved. None of this is true of medical marijuana. And for that reason, I support the use of components of marijuana for medicinal purposes, but not the raw form itself. It doesn't cure any ailments. What it does is some components of marijuana possibly help with some of the symptoms. For instance, with cancer, the THC, one of the main components of marijuana, clearly helps with appetite in people whose cancer treatment takes away their appetite. No question about it. CBD, another cannabinoid, clearly has some use in treating childhood epilepsy. That's very different from the raw plant.
I can play it from my mixer.
No, we just heard it. We just played it.
But it didn't go. It didn't go over the air though.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Maybe everybody at home heard it. We just can't.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
back here.
I definitely heard it. I don't know how you guys couldn't.
Yeah,
hear
so
it.
He's an anti-guy. He's been an anti-guy forever.
But he said he's good with components, and he said that he's good with THC for cancer patients because he knows that helps the appetite. So he's taking this from his pragmatic doctor state where he is. So I'm surprised he's not a fan of Schedule 3 because it's going to isolate all those different compounds for the pharmaceutical industry.
Right. Well, I mean, he's also good with carrying loaded pistols on Congress floor.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's true.
Oh, man.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Of course not. Why would you?
It's America, bro.
Right.
I mean, I think that,
I mean, you have all the Capitol Hill police and everyone else carrying guns. What's the problem?
I think that there's a problem that how many years ago was that interview? I'm sorry.
Why he's bringing this up is it speaks to the judgment and state of mind of the person who is railing against this lane of progress and societal evolution. And lawmakers who are hopefully trained in making good public policy doesn't mean they should have the right to show up to work strapped. Jason, I know that you know that I know that you know that that's some bullshit, and you can say whatever
he's a member.
want,
he's a member of Congress. He's a member of Congress.
That's right, which does not make him trained in close combat skills, nor does it make him qualified to have a firearm at work.
I agree. I think that
it does speak to his judgment.
I agree with Yarrow 110%. And Todd, I wanted to know when that interview that you did with him was, because as policymakers, we would hope that their minds are changed, that they are advancing thought, and that they're, open to new information. If his stance is exactly the same, that what you're doing right now is very bad, that's probably not who we want ruling on anything.
Yeah, that was almost 10 years ago, 2015.
2015.
You've learned nothing in 10 years, no matter the research, no matter, Nothing. That's disappointing.
He
to
hasn't
me.
really evolved that much on this issue.
He hasn't evolved at all. It doesn't seem.
But maybe if somebody offers him a little bit of money, then he'll start evolving.
He should go to Thailand, right?
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper for him to just go to New York.
Evolve.
Just saying.
Oh man.
Just saying.
All
right. Fair enough. We're gonna keep this. Yeah, we're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna roll right into our next commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Yes. And we're back.
What you doing?
And we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show will be up on our website just after the show. And one other thing for you guys all, we want to thank you all so very, very much. We just surpassed 800,000 views on this channel last night. And we want to thank you all so very, very much.
It's awesome.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Oh yeah, y'all know who it is. Coming up next is the Sebastopol sage himself, coming down, swooping down on us like an eagle as a second-generation cultivator and the founder of Special Teams Consulting, and quite possibly the angriest man on stage every single time he shows up. Yarrow Kubrin, what do you have for us, my man? What grinds your gears on this beautiful Tuesday morning?
Oh man. Actually, I don't have a gear grind this morning. I just have sort of an update in an ongoing saga that I think most of us have been following. So I'm not very angry today, but I'll still try to stay on brand. And in addition to Special Teams Consulting, I'm also the Director of Business Development for Zone Properties. So I wear a couple hats.
Whose shirt you're wearing today? You're wearing their shirt.
I'm branded up, man.
Okay.
I'm flying the flag.
All right.
So without further ado, Tuesday, July 23rd here, a little before 10 a.m. Pacific time. My article is from MJ Biz Daily and was published within the last 24 hours. Catalyst civil complaint against fellow California cannabis firm Glass House is dismissed. So let me just start off with weed for the people. A civil complaint against cannabis producer and retailer Glass House Brands by fellow California operator Catalyst Cannabis has been dismissed and a summary judgment issued. The Superior Court of California in Los Angeles County on July 15th granted Glass House's motion for judgment with prejudice and ordered Catalyst's holding company 562 Discount Med to pay legal costs related to the lawsuit, according to a news release. Unite as an industry. Glass House president Graham Farrar told MJ Biz Daily the lawsuit was frivolous and the company can now focus on bigger issues. But more importantly, we are happy to be able to put the waste of time and energy and resources for all sides behind us, he said via text. We are hopeful that we can stop the infighting and instead unite as an industry on the many common challenges like overtaxation and not enough legal access that would benefit patients, consumers, and all of the industry overall. The legal skirmish between the Long Beach headquartered companies began in mid-June 2023 when Catalyst CEO Elliot Lewis alleged in a lawsuit that Glass House was one of the largest, if not the largest, black marketers of cannabis in the state of California, if not the country. The court granted Glass House's motion for judgment, ruling that an injunction to halt alleged illegal sales would assume the functions of an administrative agency or to interfere with the functions of an administrative agency. The court was referring to California's primary marijuana regulator, the Department of Cannabis Control. The court also said the enforcement of any injunction would be overly burdensome. The ruling effectively ends a year of infighting between two of the largest operators. Legal back and forth. Glass House countered in June of 2023, filing a defamation suit against Catalyst Lewis and co-founder Damian Martin of running a systematic defamatory social media campaign that falsely compared Glass House to a Mexican drug cartel. Then in May, Glass House withdrew its defamation lawsuit against Catalyst, citing concerns about revealing sensitive customer information amongst other factors. Catalyst is one of the state's largest retail chains with 30 locations. Glass House is one of California's largest vertically integrated operators. Glass House shares trade as GLAS.A.U on the CBE Canadian Stock Exchange and GLASF on the over-the-counter markets. The company's shares are up 1.8% to $7.05 as of midday Monday. So this lawsuit kicked up a lot of dust, has been widely covered, and there has certainly been a back and forth in the court of public opinion. Obviously, I think it would be fair to say this show has an affiliation, but not a preference, but an affiliation for Catalyst. They've been great for this show, Weed for the People. Elliot Lewis is very colorful and incredibly entertaining, and Glass House is a big operator here in the state. However, it's never a good look when the judge rules that you have to pay somebody else's legal fees. So, this is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News. Not angry, but I'll find a way to be.
Oh, boy.
Not angry. Yarrow.
Yes, Yarrow, you gotta wait for my story yet.
What? And what was the underlying reasoning that they awarded the judgment in that manner, Yarrow?
Well, it meant that they hadn't done a good enough job proving that there was there. Again, I'm not Dale Schaefer. I don't practice law. I can't say that I have a legal lens. But when you pay somebody else's legal fees, that's not a win.
I would just say I would have thought that each party would have paid for their own legal thing. So I'm disappointed to hear that is. Well, and full transparency, we do operate out of a space within Catalyst, and Elliot and Anna are both friends of the show, and I'm also friends with Graham and with Kyle too. So full transparency. I know all parties involved in this whole thing.
Jason and I are finally just right down the middle with opinions. We don't have any. I mean, it sucks. I will say, to Elliot's point, I appreciate that he stands on business. When he believes something, he stands up and he's willing to, after my own heart. I appreciate it. If you believe something, stand up for it, and I think that that's great. Hopefully we can kind of put this behind us. Hopefully everybody's businesses thrive, and we'll be so busy, counting money and giving weed to the people that, this doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I, don't have a whole lot to say on either side other than it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You never want to see your friends fighting.
And look, we're all in the California industry. We don't want to make any enemies. We don't want to step on anybody's toes. We've watched this. It appeared that there was merit maybe on both sides of the arguments. And I'm sure there's a lot these people can't say publicly now that they would love to get off their chest, or additional color or background that they would love to provide. That said, when a motion for judgment with prejudice is issued by a judge and they order you to pay the other people's legal fees, that is not a win. And so I'm certain there's disappointment on the part of the plaintiff. But when you have to pay someone else's legal fees, that's a massive ticket, and it's also a massive loss.
100%.
I think the only thing left to do here is Elliot has to just start dropping subliminal disses on track after track after track.
Can we see Elliot just like walking down Pine? You know what I mean? Like They Not Like Us. Can we get a parody Elliot video? That would be sick. I would watch that. Shit. I would watch that.
Yes. And
I imagine that this lawsuit on the Glass House side and the legal fees that Catalyst is now going to pay are a substantial sum.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
I know, like no legal bills are cheap, just for starters. But when you're dealing with corporations, that brings a whole nother level of expertise and bill expenses.
Billing.
Yeah, billing. And so I know it's definitely is got to be at least a 6-figure bill.
And this was a lengthy battle with, it's a high 6 figures bill. This was a very lengthy battle with a lot of complex filings, and that's a lot of time. So I mean, it's unfortunate.
And the burden of proof in civil is much lower than in criminal, and so they were not able to meet some measure, some threshold to show that those allegations had enough merit, and as a result, they're paying the other side's fees.
I think there's only one thing left for Elliot to do is run for governor of California.
Oh Lord.
That would be fun.
Well, I mean, why don't we all band together and fight the state? Because these taxes are probably something we can all agree on is bullshit. Let's all lobby against 280E. Let's all, I'd like to see us band together right now, especially because everyone is under so much pressure from the entities that be over us.
Well, I appreciate his passion as well as his being loud. I think that it's important when you have a position or perspective to really bang the drum, and I think he's done a great job of that across a variety of issues. And when that legal bill hits them, they're not going to be happy about the outcome.
No, and shout out to Miss Anna Lewis, the CEO of Catalyst, who is in the chat and agrees with Jenny. It says it's all good. The real fight is with the state, and it is 100% right, because we're being grossly overtaxed, grossly overregulated from every single angle that you can imagine,
and underserved.
Yes, underserved, and the money's just going into the general funds and
which is police. For those of you that don't know, police and politicians are the general fund.
And sham.
And she's right. It reminds me of that scene in Gladiator where Russell Crowe is looking at these other guys in the arena, and he says, I don't know what's coming out those doors, but we're better served if we stand shoulder to shoulder and we fight against it together. And so whatever the dust up is, whatever the facts are, whatever the he said is, at the end of the day, she's completely right that the biggest issues in California, and it's also reflected in Mr. Farrar's statement in the article, the biggest issues in California are taxes and lack of access.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our fourth commercial, and we're going to be right back.
I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on the health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla.
Up next, it is the black female conservative voice that none of us knew that we needed, but here she is. The conservative Georgia Ruth. She is the mind behind Kind Cannabis Consulting and the juice that pumps into justice served. Bringing us home today is none other than Jenny Beth Dills.
All right.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes.
You didn't know you needed me, Rico? That's hurtful. It's nice to be needed. All right.
I didn't know it was sunny outside until I opened up the blinds. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, Attorney General Mike Hilgers led a coalition of 11 states in submitting a public comment letter on Monday opposing the Biden administration's proposal to reschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 on the Federal Controlled Substances Act. The comment letter was submitted in response to the Department of Justice's notice of proposed rulemaking regarding the proposed change. According to the Attorney General, moving marijuana to Schedule 3 would be a significant step toward fully legalizing marijuana at the federal level, and represents, in practical effort, a significant tax break for marijuana retailers. Nebraska's 40-page comment letter outlines several reasons why the rescheduling of marijuana is both unlawful and ill-advised. There is a myth that marijuana is relatively safe and that expanding legal access to it would not significantly harm the public health, Hilgers said. Our comment letter explains why nothing could be further from the truth. The Attorney General said that the Biden administration's effort ignores the science, ignores our decades-old treaty obligations, and ignores the law, all while acting to give marijuana companies a tax break. Nebraska law makes marijuana illegal in all circumstances. The coalition of attorney generals also includes the following states: Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, South Carolina, and South Dakota. Not surprising. Anybody on the list? I mean, I do want to acknowledge that Mississippi has had a government-sponsored cultivation there for a long time, so they sure are fine with getting the government funding for that, but that's okay. This guy has never read a study. He's never read an accurate medical study focusing on cannabis. Like, maybe he's read something about carcinogens from combusting things and putting them into your lungs. Maybe he's read some other things, but he's clearly never read any of the studies that were done on children whose lives have been positively impacted. He's never read any of the study on cancer patients, and he obviously wasn't paying attention when that federal judge said you cannot sit here and deny the medical benefits of cannabis.
Well, I think that with this, one of the reasons why he's saying all of this is their procedural way in which they're doing it.
I understand, but I think that he specifically spoke to the fact that it couldn't be farther from the truth that there's no. I
think that's just him adding stuff on.
Well, then he.
It's like you don't just order a hamburger plain generally, unless you're like that.
You know who does?
I know a couple people that
Nick
order
Bradley.
plain.
I miss him. Yeah, whatever. The guy said that there is no medical benefit to cannabis, and he said that it's completely undermining all legality. And yes, we do have, look what Germany's doing. They're undermining treaties that they've had from like 1964 that just kind of address how illicit drugs can be handled. And this is how we get change. We have to say these archaic laws aren't working, and this is not just about tax cuts. This is actually about monopolizing the industry for big pharma and for the government. So I appreciate you, even though you're an idiot and baseless on why you're saying this is happening. Idiot's a strong word, but baseless. But you actually err on the side that I agree with, which is whatever. I guess I'll take this weird ally that's cutting his nose to spite his face, but it's helping us. So I don't know. Let's preserve the industry a little longer, figure out a way to properly federally legalize cannabis, which I don't think is going to happen very quickly, but we'll see. I can't believe none of you have anything to say.
Yeah.
No, we do. There we go. I know we're on here. I got plenty to say on this one. This is a simple case of just follow the money. Justfacts.votesmart.org reveals all of Mr. Hilgers, his contributions, and two of the biggest contributions here come from Reynolds American, formerly J.R. Reynolds, and Altria. Big Tobacco is in.
Shocking.
It's backing this dude, and no shit, he's against cannabis and everything that comes with it. So.
I love, Jason, how you had to try to explain what he meant by what he was saying.
I always have to explain things for people because people are confused.
You think I'm confused?
I think a lot of people are confused. And yes, you do suffer from confusion sometimes.
Well, you suffer from delirium, so.
It's never.
Well, does that have anything to do with your guys' party affiliation? Probably not. I think Rico hit the nail on the head. Follow the money, and it tends to tell you what people believe and why they believe it.
Well, in regards with these studies, in all fairness, I'm pretty sure that he's only has read NIDA studies, and previously to just recently, all NIDA federally funded studies were only funded to show the harms of cannabis, and nothing was ever shown to show the benefits of cannabis. So there's a lot of reasons why he hasn't read any positive studies.
You know why that is,
it's like
Jason?
Nixon.
Because with a federally illicit substance, you can only do preclinical trials, and those aren't recognized as highly. So that's once again an issue.
But that's if you only get information from within the United States. I mean, I would say about him what I've said about my soon-to-be ex, which is don't ever let a lack of information stop you from forming an opinion.
Yo, Yarrow's letting us know he's on the market.
Yeah, get it.
I'm lips maxing. I'm spray tanning. I'm about to tattoo on a 6-pack.
Are you going to be the new Orange Man on the news?
No comment. But again,
we need to keep you around, Yarrow.
That was so good.
The last man that went full orange ended up dropping out of the presidential race.
He didn't go full. He just did the face. Just got to get an even.
But again, look, bottom line is if politicians want to have an opinion on something, they should study the issue. If they don't study the issue, or they get their information from only one side, or they're not willing to be fair and balanced, then I don't think they're entitled to have a perspective.
All right, fair enough. I have this one last quick story for you guys.
It is a quick one.
Yeah, it's quickie. Because a court rules expecting mothers using medical marijuana can't be charged with child neglect. I think this is great news, you guys.
That is fantastic.
A recent ruling from the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals says pregnant women using marijuana with a medical marijuana card cannot be prosecuted for child neglect. The court says women with a medical card or with medical care are using the drug illegally. Therefore, they cannot be charged. Attorney Ed Blow told KOCO5 that the court can't charge an expecting mother using medical marijuana with child neglect because the drug is prescribed, he says. In a quote, marijuana is in the state of Oklahoma by statute is considered medicine, just like any other medicine a doctor would prescribe, Blue said. The ruling comes after a felony case in Kay County where a pregnant woman using marijuana was charged with neglect. The judge, however, dismissed the case for a lack of evidence, and the case was then appealed to the highest criminal court in the state, which made it clear in the ruling that it is not illegal because the marijuana was used as a medicine. In a quote, the Court of Criminal Appeals was very specific in that this applies to medical marijuana only as a prescribed drug, Blau said. And it does not apply to methamphetamine. It does not apply to cocaine. Just for anyone, I guess, that is confused about that. Interesting. Those in the court and child advocates say they don't recommend pregnant women to use marijuana, and in a quote says, with this, you have the compound issue of taking THC into your system and the different byproducts of smoking marijuana that would lead to issues with a fetus. Joe Dorman, CEO of the Oklahoma Institute for Child Advocacy, said that. And each judge who wrote in the opinion now asked the legislature to take a look at the law and make changes. And in a quote, if the legislator went back and changed the law, it would simply add marijuana with or without a marijuana card to those drugs for which an expecting mother could be prosecuted for child neglect if she were found to have it in her system, Blue said. And in the meantime, Blue said he expects those convicted for child neglect while using marijuana with a medical card to ask the court to throw out their cases.
I love this.
That is great.
Because you know who they test?
Oklahoma.
You know which mothers they test? Typically mothers that are on state-sponsored health care, which make those black and brown mothers much more than any others. And this is tearing families apart and taking children away from good mothers. And
exactly.
I had a wonderful pregnancy. I'm very lucky to have had that. But, God, if I was sick, it would have been nice to have been able to use something natural to make myself feel better. And I think, I quit dabbing while I was pregnant just because, butane is butane. But I think I had to look outside of the U.S. for studies, kind of like Yarrow pointed to. Israel has amazing studies. Canada actually had great studies. And you know what the effects of cannabis use by and large on children were? Increased brain activity. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Higher birth weight, maybe a little more owie.
Shout out to Oklahoma.
Yeah, this is a huge win for pop parents everywhere, and I love hearing good news to end the day off on, man.
You know, on a Tuesday, bro.
You covering this one, Jason.
Yeah, talk about it Tuesday, man. Bro.
We're on time on talking about it Tuesday.
We all need to calm down the rhetoric just a little bit, and this is the perfect way to do that.
Is Yarrow still here? Yarrow's gone. He's disappeared. Okay. All right. I was really hoping to hear what he had to say if he could have stuck around for this.
Yeah, I'm on a box on the edge of the screen right now.
Don't worry. He's bringing you back. He's bringing you back, bro, like a Mac attack.
Right back like cook crack.
Shout out to Adam. Technology is making his life much harder today, but he is chugging right along.
Yeah, give him a second. Give him a second. Give him a second.
Shout out to the parents out there and y'all here. If y'all are in Oklahoma, make sure y'all get y'all medical card, and you will be protected a little bit more than if you don't have it.
100%. I mean, that's part of why this legalization issue is such that it is, because it's an attack on families. It's tearing people apart and removing children from good parenting households over a plant. It's just, it's sad to me. So, Rico, we got to agree to end the show today. I love that.
Look at that, you
guys. Man, I love it too. Look.
I'm going to talk about it Tuesday.
Oreo.
Yeah. So
there you go. There you're back. You're with us now.
Close things off with a little bit of positivity for everybody out there, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of High at 9 News. You can always catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans getting their comments posted and called out on the big screen. Our live audience members and online supporters tuning in and giving us feedback to the daily headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Millie and Adam behind the scenes, keeping AV struggles in check. And finally, Cannabis Steva L, the reason why we show up to read these stories every single day. Thank you too. It has been Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. Are we the last ones here?
Yeah.
Right, man. It's looking more and more like you. It looks like more and more like you, Jason Beck, are the DEI hire on the team.
Ooh.
Look at that, bro.
Lord.
Look at that.
Would you?
Look at that. Look at
Would you like to take us out with a friendly message for the folks out there?
Oh man, you know what? I'm going to take you guys out. Yes, thank you all for tuning in. We so much appreciate you guys spending your time with us. We know you could be anywhere else, and whether you are watching this live with us or watching this throughout the day, we do appreciate you being here and checking this out. And we hope you have the most amazing day. And we have something that I'm going to be announcing later this week as well. In regards, we're going to be hooking some people up with some trees, some of our subscribers on the way as we get up to 10,000 subscribers. So I'm going to bring you guys more details about that soon, but just know there is a giveaway in the works.
We love you guys.
Much love.
Moist.
We're having mouse problem.